Stream, go live.
Tell me when we're live.
We are live in the Agora. This is Edward Snowden, joined tonight by Paul Gordon.
I am Paul Gordon. Can you hear me? Is this microphone working?
You sound fantastic.
We didn't even do a sound check like we usually do. We just dove because we're so pissed off.
We're so fucking pro.
Actually, I'm not really pissed off, but I want to pretend I am because
I'm
it's
not
fun.
pissed off.
No, I'm not either, but it's fun.
Fun.
Let's pretend that we are.
Well, being government shills, you kind of have to watch.
You got to let that stuff wash off of you because
But
you're doing your job. You got to just stick to the job.
Is anybody friends with Jeff Valenciana?
Valenciana, no.
Can this be shared to his wall?
One of his many names, whatever.
Can we?
I have like a bunch of sock accounts. Well, not a bunch, but a few sock accounts. But all my sock accounts, they're all named Paul Gordon.
Nice.
It's like I'm not hiding. I got backups. There was an evolution about how I got those accounts. That's another story.
All right,
but I kept them for backups because
Before we get started, even though we already started, make sure you share this to your wall right now. Just go click the share button. And if you're friends with Jeff Valenciana, I thought his name was Valencia. Did he change his name again?
I say Valencia all the time, and it's Valencia. Well, not that I type Valencia. I don't say Valencia because I'm not going around saying his name.
No.
But Valenciana is too much for me. It violates it's a violation of basic human law.
Too many silly labels.
Exactly. It triggers me. It violates my right to not have to say multi-syllabic last names that are confusing.
Right? Nature might come and snatch you away.
Right. That's why all the Chinese names, all the Czech names, all the whatever names that are not English and aren't like Smith, they got to go.
Now, I just want to ask. I want to ask you this. I have the number scrolling across the screen. If you feel like calling in, feel free to call in.
I don't have the number.
Especially if you're Jeff. It's 603-782-0920. That is the government hotline.
Oh yeah.
All calls will be monitored for quality assurance.
Not supposed to have said that out loud.
It doesn't matter. He already outed us. So
well, that's true. Once you're out, the cool thing about being a government shill is this. Once you're outed, you don't even have to pretend. And 75% of the people aren't going to believe you're a government shill anyway, so you can still do your job.
You can still do your job. People aren't going to believe it. People are going to see we're anarchists because we wear the shirts from Bodhi.
Right. I got Bodhi on today.
Which you can go to agora.threadless.com and support this government endeavor.
There you go.
It's a tax write-off. It's a tax write-off.
Right there. Got that open action on. Got open action.
Taxation isn't theft if you buy my shirts.
Hope I didn't trigger anyone with the Antifa arrows there.
It's not even Antifa. It's the Iron Fist.
Whatever, dude. I was going with it. Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, you're such a buzzkill.
I am not a buzzkill.
I was trying to create something there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so go ahead. What is it actually? If not Antifa, what is it?
Iron Front.
Iron Front?
Yeah.
That's a communist organization, right?
No, they hated commies too.
Wait a second. I thought I was being pro-commie with this shirt.
No.
Oh, man.
You're being anti-fascist, anti-statist, anti-communist.
Dude, I feel I'm not doing my government job right. That's for sure.
Dear God.
Oh, I hope they don't dock my pay for this one.
They're done. Red Scare dismissed.
Moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, next
Valenciana.
thing. Valenciana.
Well, can I say why we're doing this show?
Please.
Let's just be transparent because we know nobody will believe us. Jeff Valenciana, he's probably one of the most effective voices for liberty out there.
He really is.
He keeps talking the way that he does, and keeps writing on Facebook the way that he does,
especially as he blocks people, or as people block him, and as his friends list dwindles below 100.
He's doing yeoman's work. He is going to literally destroy the state by himself. We have to basically try to turn everyone against him to stop him from destroying the state. That's what we're doing here, but you guys won't believe it. You guys will think that we're just calling out a trolley von troll.
Right.
And I'm going to go pretend that's what we're doing now.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Right, that's what we're doing. That first part I was just kidding. We're just calling out a troll. That's all we're doing.
Yeah. He's just a troll.
He's just a troll. He's just...
There's no way anyone could honestly be that dumb.
No.
He said,
how many people voted for Trump? How many people voted for Hillary?
True.
I imagine that some of the people voted for Trump and Hillary that were very pragmatic and understood the crap sandwiches that they were selecting. But I think most of them didn't think that they were necessarily voting for a crap sandwich.
No.
And that, to me, puts them in the Valenciana camp.
Right. And it's just the amount, basically everybody who anyone that disagrees with him has to be working for the government. There's no possible way that anyone of their own volition and free will could possibly disagree with what this man says.
No, and he's right, but I don't want you to believe that.
No.
I can't have you believe that, because then you might destroy the state.
You know, the state has systematically gotten him to friend request specific government shills just to discredit him.
Pretty much. But here's the thing, and we can say this because we know nobody will believe this, and we totally get our rocks off knowing that we're telling you what we're doing to you, and you don't even believe us.
You're not going to believe us.
You're not going to believe us. He is actually working with us. This whole thing is an op.
Yeah.
He's calling out the government shills on purpose. That's by design. It's to throw people off of the trail. So that's and we can tell you that because you won't believe us. So it's a beautiful thing.
It's absolutely genius. This is how JFK.
Pretty much.
This is how JFK died.
Right. Wait, how did he die? I don't. I haven't been working as long as you have.
Bigfoot on the grassy knoll.
Bigfoot shot JFK.
Yep, and Princess Diana.
Wait, Princess Diana shot JFK too?
No. Bigfoot.
Oh,
Bigfoot shot Princess Di.
I would more be susceptible to believe that Princess Diana shot Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Or no, she shot JFK. Princess Diana. Okay, I got it. Princess Diana shot JFK, and then Bigfoot shot Princess Diana. Got it. Great.
Yeah, that's how it went down.
That's simple, folks. It's that simple.
It's that simple.
I see Ken Eddings has joined us. Hi, Ken. How you doing?
Hi, Ken. How's it going?
Ken's flying the yellow and black. Yellow and black.
Ooh. Yeah.
Actually, I don't get anything against the yellow and black. And, I don't get anything against, by the way, people who have absolutist views, who believe that there is such a thing as, absolute rights. I got nothing against you. I think you can make a good argument. I don't necessarily believe your argument, but I think you can make a good argument. What I have a problem with is the folks that believe that, who insist that if you don't believe that, then you basically want to rape children and you're pretty much a government,
show. Yeah. Well, what else would you be? There's no way you could think anything different.
No. And there's no way that you could possibly think that rights are spooks and still think that, I prefer the government doesn't do that. I prefer the government doesn't exist at all. You can't possibly believe that. Oh, we got some fake news. Hold on. Hold on.
Agent.
Ken said rights are derived from premises agreed upon. I think that's closer to the truth.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Agreed upon. It's a social construct. It's a social construct for convenience. And I don't necessarily...
And I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. It's... I would actually prefer that we have these things and that people uphold them. It would make things go a lot smoother. But to say they're necessarily there or objective or some kind of external authority...
That's my problem, the external authority claim. I mean, I actually have an external authority claim in my life, but I don't claim to have an objective proof of that external authority.
No.
I don't. I can't say that. I cannot objectively say that.
I don't have this logical gymnastics that I can do to prove to you that everyone must accept this or everyone must, you can't escape this.
No. I mean, you know I'm all about power. And power to me is the ability to influence yourself and others.
Yeah.
So I deal with things at that level. Now, I will say that the idea of absolute rights is a form of power. It's ideational power, using ideas to influence others to action, like the peasant revolt of 1381. Them dudes had that. The peasants had the king and all those royals dead to rights. They had all the power in their hands, and when push came to shove, when they confronted the king gave them an order: dudes, just leave the field and we'll take care of everything. And because they had an ideational power, the divine right of kings, this was their one of their absolutes that they believed in. You don't even question that, divine right of kings. So yes, the idea of rights can actually contain real power, but it doesn't over me.
But it always comes from an individual agreement to adhere to them. It's a choice.
Well, yeah, the only power that absolute rights have over you is the power that you gave them.
Right.
You like the it's not like they were on the field confronting the king at what is it, Maiden Field or whatever it was called. When they're on that field, it's not like the guys were looking over at the king and like, yo, there's way more of us than them. We could totally take them. We're the one. We got the badass longbows over here. We know how to use them. And then all of a sudden, absolute right rode in on a horse and said, "Hold on there, everybody! I am divine right of kings. Don't even try it, because I will f you up." Nope, it was all in their head.
Yep,
it was all in their head, man.
It's spooky.
It's spooky, man. It's spooky. By the way, we do have some fake news to report.
We do.
Apparently, it's a fake news. It's actually coming from the Agora.
Yeah, I'm going to have to fix that.
Going to have to fix that. It says, Agent Smith is so hot. He
needs to
a little bit on my mouth right now. Oh, wow. But I pushed through. But he is right about the other part of that. He needs to get his stuff together and get on a show with us.
Hey, actually, we have a useful comment here. It's Ken again. Rights are reciprocal and symmetrical to everyone, or we are speaking of privileges, not rights. The most inclusive system of rights I can imagine is based on the notion that all interaction should be voluntary, beginning with any other premise devolves into a system of privilege. Now, I disagree that the notion that all interaction should be voluntary. I mean, it would be wonderful. It would be wonderful if all interaction could be voluntary. It's just immediately at birth, that's out of the window.
As soon as you came into being, your very existence was an involuntary act.
You can't choose to be born. You can choose to kill yourself later, but
and Ken, I operate under. For me, I'm not going to get into it. I don't know if I'll get into it in this show or not, but I have a whole host of reasons that I have core preferences, and because of those core preferences, down the road comes a preference that interaction should be voluntary. It is advantageous to me that interaction around me should be voluntary, not just my ability, but others' ability to have that power as well.
I derive value from interactions based on it being voluntary. If I have to force a reaction out of you, that has no value to me because it's coerced. You don't want to do it. So what value does that have to me? I want you to want the same thing. I want you to want this interaction. I just want you to want me.
You want my preferences. I need you to need my preferences.
Yeah, there you go. That's a new hit single.
Ken said, "Oh, geez, did I really need to insert the caveat for moral agent?"
Oh, moral agent. Well, that's the thing. I extend it beyond humanity. I don't think humans are any different than animals.
I will eat the hell out of a cow without its consent.
Yeah, I will too. But that's because it's tasty. I do, all the time. But I don't think it's right.
Right, within your framework of preference.
Right. It's just more convenient, and that's just what happens. Something I'm working on.
Within my framework preference, cheeseburgers are righteous.
Cheeseburgers are righteous. And that's your preference. And you know what? Insofar as I'm concerned, I'm not really going to do anything about that.
Yeah. Now, and that kind of brings up another point, which is association. Preferences form associations. And so if, for instance, if I knew through word and especially through deed that Bodhi, that's Andrew Marich, Mr. Alt-Right Hair. I'm just going to call you A-R-R-R. I'm going to call you R. A-R-H, Alt-Right Hair. R. But anyway, if I came to believe that one of Bodhi's core preferences wasn't, for whatever reason, I don't care, but if one of his core preferences was, I think it's a good idea for people to be able to act voluntarily, I probably am not going to want to associate too deeply with Bodhi. No, it doesn't work out for me. Doesn't meet my self-interest. So now I might, in some sort of duplicitous way, if I feel like I could get something, out of that, or
but then but then basically you're acting out of self-interest and your preferences.
Absolutely. Everything is, I don't want to say this absolutely, but I will say as far as I understand, and somebody may be able to show me that this is not true, that there are exceptions. But as far as I understand, everything you do is based on preference. And if it's not everything, it's darn well near everything. It's pretty close.
If you're not acting out of preference, what are you acting out of?
That's what I can't.
Because even if you're in a situation where you're coerced, you're acting in the preference to not be coerced, or to
you're
avoid
acting
the
out
punishment.
of preference within the framework of your power to act. You are acting out of preference
within your mind. The power.
Give me your money.
Right.
I got the gun to your head. Give me your money. You still have preference to act on. Do I prefer to give up my money? Do I prefer to just let him kill me? Right. Or do I prefer to try to challenge him and see if I can get away with it? Right. Maybe I think I could take him.
That's a preference.
You still have preference to act on.
You're right in that moment. Doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah, right. Your rights just don't matter. Hello, Stephen Stone. What's the conversation? Well, it's about the fact that we're coming out as government shills. Since Jeff Valenciana, pretty much Valenciana,
He hit the nail on the head. He
nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
He pinned it to the church doors.
It's like devastating. We had a disagreement, and the real bone of contention with Jeff Valenciana, and you, and I guess apparently me by extension, is I don't know if it's by extension. I think it is, but I'm not sure. It might be independent. But either way, the bone of contention seems to be that he believes in absolute rights, and Bodhi doesn't, nor do. Well, actually, I believe in absolute rights. I just don't believe that humans can understand them, and I'm not 100% sure that I'm right.
Yeah, which is fine. That's fair.
Right.
That's at least being honest.
Yeah, that's being realistic. But he apparently believes that and again, I write stuff. I say stuff like I have no patience for absolutarians. Now, Jeff Valenciana, no. I haven't blocked him. I haven't unfriended him.
No. And
I'm not going to right now because I'm interested in observing him. Yes, I'm interested in observing you, Mr. Valenciana. No. You are entertaining to me.
Yeah.
That's why you're not blocked. But by and large, I usually block and unfriend absolutarians because I have no patience on Facebook anymore, and so I try to cut down on the Facebookery that gets in my head.
My biggest beef is that he talks more shit about other people than he can come up with his own idea.
All of his ideas lead to crazy absolutes that if you don't absolutely agree with him, then you're either asleep or you're a shill.
I suggested that you should own your preferences or your preferences will own you, and he turns that into I want to force my preferences on others.
Wow, I could understand if like an MSNBC reporter was interviewing you and you said that and then they responded in that way.
Flipped it that way, yeah.
I can totally understand an MSNBC reporter coming to that conclusion.
But it's absolutely absurd. If you've ever listened to half the shit I say or why I say the weird things that I say or why I challenge certain ideas, you'd begin to understand that. But it's basically cherry-picking a word out of a sentence and then building your own sentence out of it and then arguing with it.
Well, in which case you're pretty much arguing with yourself, so good luck. I don't know if I'm missing comments here. I sometimes have to refresh this. Hold on. Let me refresh. Refresh and anew. Renew. Refresh and renew. It went out of it. It went out of the thing. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you missed the live show on Facebook. How do they find your Facebook page on Facebook?
Facebook.com/Bodhi's Agora.
Yeah, so this is like a show that's being broadcast two ways all at once. Ooh. This is the show's the Agora. If you're watching on Facebook, the show is the Agora. If you see this on my channel on YouTube, iState, then it's an iState podcast. Congratulations, Bodhi. You're doing an iState podcast while you're doing the Agora show. How awesome is that?
Go check out iState.tv.
Oh, yeah, iState.tv, man. I crank out the content Monday through Thursday, and then Friday I just do one in-depth article and then take a break from all the content production.
Which is fantastic. See, that's called actually doing something useful for people.
Yeah, I'm trying to provide a useful service that eventually I will get paid for.
You're providing
audience. I'll sell ads.
You're providing value to the community.
Yes, because that's how the free market works.
Yeah, that's how you
getting handouts.
And that's actually how you affect change without actually being a bitch.
Right, without just sitting around and complaining because. Meh. I want to make it clear, at least from my perspective, I don't want to speak for Bodhi, but I, for one, this was Bodhi's idea to do this show, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be fun. Well, I don't really have anything personal against Mr. Valenciana, but I thought this is going to be a fun show to do. And so Valenciana, he's in a category that, based on my preferences, I feel like I can go ahead and make fun of him because he kind of, he really can't. I don't think he doesn't have any really power to hurt me or Bodhi for that matter. But I kind of feel like if he could, he would. So he's kind of in that category. Oh, you violated the DBAD. So
yeah,
since you violated the DBAD, I'm gonna make fun of you.
It's free game.
I don't care. Not that I don't make fun of everybody who violates the DBAD, but in this case, I am making fun of him not necessarily because he violated the DBAD, but because it's entertaining, and since he violated the DBAD, he's fair game to have fun with.
Well, he says himself he's fair game.
Oh yeah.
He advocates fair game, so that's fine. It's just I wanted to produce something funny out of it because I'm sick. It's annoying. It's fun, but it's annoying.
Well, yeah, it can get annoying, and he actually goes after you. I think actually today was the first time that he really overtly went after me.
Yeah,
this is the first time that he actually overtly went after me. And if he showed up, now I will say this: if he did, if he was showing up on my page constantly, interfering with my swerve, I probably would block him at that point.
Oh yeah, because it's not providing anything productive. Actually, none of his posts are really providing anything productive. It's mostly just regurgitation.
I don't read all his posts, so I can't say that that's true for sure. But I'll say that of the stuff that I've seen from Mr. Valenciana, No. I think he has had some, at least to me, original thought. They might not be, but his original thought I didn't agree with. So it doesn't matter. He went on a tirade where, I guess I can understand to a certain degree, but he went on the tirade maybe a year ago. Whenever he hits on something. Which, we all do this. I'm not criticizing. We hit, there's something that is bothering you that you notice and you hit on it, you pounce on it, you cover it. And so for a while it was anybody paying wages to somebody else that's basically, I don't know what he called it. He didn't call it fascism, but he said it wasn't anarchy, and anybody who believes that it's okay to have some sort of wage system is not a real anarchist. I think there's some issues about the whole wage system that maybe we could talk about some other time. But
especially if the people enter into that agreement voluntarily, then
the thing is that it wasn't so much that he was putting out this supposition. Hey, think about this. It was, I thought about it. I have the definitive answer, and if you don't agree with me, you're a shill.
Right.
That he did it back then. He was calling people out, calling them shills because they wouldn't. They were like, no, if it's just like you said, they would say, well, if it's a voluntary contract, just because it's a voluntary contract, it's not really a voluntary contract because you're putting them in a position where they really don't have a choice. I'm like, well, you always have a choice, actually.
Always.
Pretty much. The only time you don't have a choice is the only times you don't have a choice, maybe if you're dead and somebody's moving your body around, or if they've managed to implant something in your brain that causes you to move without your voluntary, like you're not even in control.
Right.
Other than that, everything is voluntary. Yes,
well,
everything is already voluntary.
Is along those lines, he shouldn't have had a problem with my idea that eating, breathing, your heartbeat, and those things aren't exactly voluntary. You're not actually in complete control of your body. You're actually a slave to these preferences.
Well, to me, why I say stand on your preferences and not, piping out the human rights and
appealing to
law, and you're appealing to authority that it has no accountability whatsoever.
None.
It's like, but I think that when you do that, then you put yourself in a position where I don't think that you're fully facing who you are. I'm not necessarily saying that you need to face who you are. But if you say that you have a value system, as most anarchists do, the whole own yourself thing. And let's just, you and I know the issues we have with that phrase, but I'll just,
we'll go with it. I do understand it. I do. Little do people know, I do understand it.
Yeah, me too. I understand. But if you have this, I know I've seen Mr. Valenciano say, he believes, he's own yourself. That's one of the central tenets of anarchy. If you're going to go to the Church of Anarchy, that's one you got to get down, is own yourself. And if you don't know yourself, you can't own yourself. Okay? Now, never mind that even if you do know yourself, you still can't own yourself. But just pretend own yourself is a thing. If you don't know yourself, you can't own yourself. And if you're basing everything upon these abstract claims to absolute rights, you're not really fully investigating. Why is it that you do what you do? Do you really only do what you do? Do you really only believe what you believe that's because somehow you believe that you have some sort of inherent right? Or is it because you prefer? And I say it's because you prefer. At the end of the day, deep down, it's because you prefer.
Yeah, you have a preference. Now, Jonathan brings up a great point. He says, I like the subject of voluntarism. I know when we are born it is involuntary. What do you think about antinatalism? No one chooses to be a son or daughter. I like entertaining the idea instead of forcing the cycle of life onto newborns. We can voluntarily become a father or mother by adopting someone who wants to be a son or daughter. Now, the family setting is voluntary, and no additional life was created involuntary. Do you find consistency in antinatalism as an anarchist? I do. I think ultimately
consistency, but I wholly reject it. I don't reject it objectively.
Yeah. But basically, the idea of antinatalism is that you don't really have you basically don't have a right to bring life into
this world. If you're going to walk out the nap to its fullest
extent
conclusion,
you shouldn't eat
then
anything.
You shouldn't be having kids.
You shouldn't eat anything, and you shouldn't have kids.
Oh, right, because existence is death, by the way.
It's
always death to something. Your existence, your continued existence is death to something, whether it's a plant or an animal.
That is the nature. That is real. That's the nature of the universe.
And then again, existence is death, even if you don't eat until you die.
Right.
But
eventually,
you move. As soon as you move, there are bacteria. There are all kinds of weird microorganisms that have died because you moved your arm.
And now, is that the extreme end of the argument? Yeah.
That's ahimsa, by the way. That's the.
Life thrives on life. Yes, thank you, John.
Yes, exactly. Life thrives on life.
That is the nature. If natural law means anything, that is it. If there is a natural law, it's that life feeds on life.
That's it. That's it, and that's power. That's, to me, that's, well, no, I walk that back. Let me think about that.
I don't think
life
you're wrong.
Feeds on life. It's whatever you want to call it. It's the cold. A subjective term, cold, hard reality. Life feeds on life. And at the end of the day, understanding who or what is feeding on who or what, understanding the reality of power, I would say,
right. That's
is to me far more of an effective route to take than.
On top of that, with even the Buddhist idea of trying to end suffering, to mitigate suffering as best you can, you need to be aware of all of the extents of your actions and what kind of suffering they cause in order to escape the cycle.
Yeah.
So what I find with the natural law anarchists is that they're focusing just on their quote-unquote moral agents, which they can't prove, and then they're also focusing on just humans. They're not looking outside the box. They're strictly ignoring the fact that humans are...
Some of them do.
Some of them do. But a lot of them deny that humans are animals. They cannot face that reality that they are an animal.
Because for a lot of the natural law folks, and I want to say again clearly, I got no issue with natural law anarchists. I only have an issue with the natural law anarchists who insist that if I don't believe in natural law, that I think it's okay to rape babies, and who insist that if you don't believe in natural law, you're not an anarchist. And now, and even I'll say, even if you believe that, but you're like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But the absolutarians are the ones that they really come across like Bible thumping preachers, slamming the Bible in my face and saying, "You go to hell. You're going to go to hell.
Yeah, that's the
you
same
believe
thing.
this or you go to hell." That's who you sound like to me. That's why I cut you off.
Right. Which all you need to do...
Because I ain't got time for that.
All you need to do to prevent this clash is to go, well, it's my preference to follow this.
Yeah. And then I'm like, cool. All right.
That's it. That's my preference to follow this method. That's fine. But why are you judging others based on your preference and saying that it's not a preference?
For me...
There's something wrong.
Yeah, for me, I want to know what your preferences are. And I will trust you more if you stand on your preferences than if you say that you stand on an ideal. I mean, I'm not against you saying that you stand on an ideal. I'm just saying that for me personally...
I'm much more likely to listen to you. I'm much more likely to trust you. And I'm much more likely to have a friendly interaction when you're being honest about what you're actually advocating or what you're actually living.
But it's not the only way that I assess trust. So somebody may earn my trust for other reasons, even if they fit into that category. But still, I am saying someone who stands on their preferences is someone that, generally speaking, I'm probably going to trust them more. I think that's why you and I sort of trust each other more because, we do that. I think we do that. To the best of my knowledge, I believe you do that.
Yeah.
And to the best of my knowledge, I believe I do that. Mm-hmm. I may find out at the end that all of this was just a ruse I was rusing myself the whole time to position myself to seduce Bodhi. Who knows? I don't think that's the case, though.
Maybe.
I highly doubt that's the case.
That might be
especially with that new hairdo. Definitely.
The hairdo, yeah.
Definitely. Now, if you go back to Mohawk, dude, I'm all up in that, man. I ain't even gay, but still. I'm all up in there with that Mohawk, dude.
I got to get some things situated under my belt before I can go back to the Mohawk.
You basically have to go through, "Hello, sir. I would like to sell you a floor." And you can't be showing up and say, "Yo, dude, buy a floor." Right?
Buy my product.
Buy my product. Oh, you know what? I there was a story that I didn't get to cover. I can only cover so many stories, and there's great stories that I actually don't get to cover. One of them was actually, there's a company that 3D prints floors.
What?
Yes. 3D print. Oh, Max Lentz has a comment here. An interesting point I see from the Christian anarchist crowd: morals come from God, and therefore what God says is moral. Assuming there was a God, would that make morality objective or something more than a preference? Okay, Max, guess what? You're talking to a Christian, I'll say anarchist. What the heck? I'm really a vis profusium, but I'll say anarchist. You're talking to a Christian anarchist right now. And yes, I do claim that God is the moral authority in my life. I just don't claim it absolutely.
But here's something you taught me, Paul, is that even though there are these absolute truths and stuff, it is still up to you to basically, your preferences. if you prefer what God has laid out for you, you are getting closer to God. If you prefer against it, or if you go against it, then you're going further from God.
Right.
And that's the nature of sin and getting closer to God, not sin.
Right. That's what sin is to me.
But it still comes down to
further from God.
It still comes down to free will and a choice and a preference that you rest on.
Maybe. I'm still not 100% sure of the free will thing.
I'm not so sure either, to be honest with you.
I'm not. But honestly, I'm not going to lose sleep so much, right? I mean, there may come a time in my life where suddenly, no, man, I got to figure this out. But as of right now, I've actually looked into it from my Christian perspective. So I will look at what Christians deem as having any degree of authority. So you look for what's in Scripture. Mm-hmm. You look for what the church fathers had to say. You look for fellowship. You look for experience. You look for spiritual experience. And in all of those ways, I never found a definitive answer. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to find the answer to this, at least not now. I probably never will. So I'm like, whatever. Yeah. I actually lean predestination. I do.
For the most part, I think we can influence it.
I don't know. I don't know. But
I think basically there's an action and a reaction, but there is a moment in time when you're in the role, when you're in the fold, when you're going through the change that you can influence it. So there's a general trajectory, but we can change subtle iterations in the fractal.
And Agent Smith, by the way, said becoming an absolutist leaves no room for growth.
Correct.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that if you can, for instance, you could form an absolutist framework that you know that you can't fully understand. You strive to understand that absolutist framework. You have room for growth.
That's true.
But generally speaking, I will say that it will tend to significantly reduce your ability to grow. And I mean, I'm not a relativist. I am not a relativist. I just don't claim to know the absolutes. Right. I don't even know the absolutes with God. You know, when it comes to my Bible, you know, that I look at as, okay, this is Scripture breathed by God. I kind of believe. Caleb, you didn't see that coming. Like I said, Caleb, I lean predestination, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure, because I could see Scripture that can go either way. But when it comes to Scripture, like for instance, the Orthodox, my friend Dimitri, he's Orthodox, and Orthodox Greek, and they have books in their Old Testament that the Protestants don't have. Now, I'm investigating. I'm trying to figure out why that is. You know, I don't have a clear answer as to why that is, so I'm not going to stand up and say, that's it, these are the books. I feel much more certain about the books that are in the New Testament than I do the Old. But I'm following what I see. And so, yeah, I believe that God's word is absolute and true. But man's ability to hear that word is absolutely not absolute.
Right.
It's God has a God language that he speaks. That the minute that a human being tries to translate it into English, you're going to have a problem. That's why when I pursue God and I use Scripture, if it fundamentally violates Scripture, I'm not going to touch it. If there's something in Scripture that doesn't match nature, then I'm going to be like, okay, there's something wrong here. I'm not going to automatically dismiss nature, because nature is a way that God, according to my Christian belief, that nature has a way, or that nature is one of the ways that God reveals his truth to us. He reveals his truth supernaturally. And now Bill says, my brother Bill, he's a State on State face. Love you, brother. But he says, God's truth is absolute. Our ability to know is not absolute. I mean, there are obvious, simple things I believe are absolute, like basic salvation, but there are many absolute truths we struggle with and will always struggle with, not to mention God is not even linear. I agree with that.
That's a great point.
Although I cannot objectively prove salvation to you either, but salvation is one of those things that I don't doubt. But the reason I don't doubt salvation, it's not so Well, it's in partly because of Scripture, but it's in part because I've had some spiritual experiences. Mm-hmm. So,
and here's the thing: I've had spiritual experiences showing me the opposite.
Right.
Not even the opposite, just that it's not necessarily salvation or damnation, which is a bit peculiar, because it's not an either or, it's not a plus or a minus, and this is where I differ in morality, is that I don't necessarily have good and evil. I have suffering or less more suffering. Basically, and it's just a different value scale. It's still a value scale.
Yeah, and I kind of operate in two worlds, depending on who I'm dealing with. If I'm dealing with a non-Christian, I'm much more subjective when I'm dealing with a non-Christian, because I know that a non-Christian, they don't have the same assumption of truth that I have. And I don't have an objective way to show them that I'm right or wrong.
Well, here's the thing. They also don't have the same language. Yeah, you speak English, but you understand some of the Scripture and some of the and all of that. So you have different tools to communicate with a Christian than you do with a non-Christian.
Yeah, well, yeah, and yes, and we have I have a framework of morality such as it is between Christians. And you know what? Actually, it's almost like with Christians, there is a you know what it is? It's what did the dude say? Which one of them said this? That about rights? That rights are an agreement between others?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm dealing with a Christian, that you're kind of operating under the same kind of
agreement,
text and agreement. Okay, I have standing with this Christian to actually hold that Christian accountable to this moral standard that I don't have with you. I don't have that with you. You don't have the same. But you and I have different agreements. So we do have
I still remember that.
If you want to call it morality.
I still have that show we did where we went through my language.
Ahataba ehetebe, whatever.
Ahataba etehebe, yeah.
Etehebe, yeah.
Etehebe.
I'd like to see that. That was a good show. I enjoyed that.
The audio was corrupted, but I still have it.
Oh man.
But I still have it.
That was a good show.
It was a great show. I hope to release that sometime. But that was a fantastic communication between new ideas, basically. And it's still possible. But if you had in your mind that, okay, what I already know is all I know, then that conversation would have never happened.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess and there's actually something else you told me too, that this was a long time ago, but we were talking about basically Jesus. Right,
basically Jesus.
Basically Jesus.
Jesus.
Basically Jesus. But it was that you don't have to know the name of Christ to follow Christ or to be like Christ.
I said that?
You said that.
I said like
you
that?
can still be Christ-like without actually knowing Christ.
Oh, you mean like if, I don't know. So I probably was referring to Romans 1:20, where the truth of God is in all of us, and
yes.
Even people who've never seen the Bible, who've never heard the name of Christ, they can still be living Christ without knowing the name Christ.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. But once you hear the name Christ, and you either reject the name or you don't reject the name, but then it's kind of more obvious, like whether you're actually living Christ or not living Christ.
Yeah.
It's not obvious when you've never heard the name. But, actually, my friend Dimitri, the Orthodox Church has some. I'm not an Orthodox, but I definitely love some things about the Orthodox Church that I think Protestants, maybe you should listen. They have this. Their idea of faith and salvation is a little bit different than Protestants. So for the Orthodox, they're not universalists. They don't believe everybody ends up in heaven. I don't know that necessarily that they have the same concept of fire and brimstone hell that the Protestants have. I don't have the concept of fire and brimstone and hell that the Protestants have, but they have this concept that God has gifted all of us unequally with a measure of his grace. And it's that measure of his grace that he's given us that enables us to understand him, to see him, and to live him. And our lives are kind of a measure of what, and this is like kind of the parable of the talents. You know, he gave some he gave 1 talent, some he gave 2, some 3, some 4, some 5. And what he was looking for was, what did you do with the talents that I gave you? Some people have been given very little grace from God. This is the Orthodox belief. So what they look like on the outside, they don't look like Christians at all. They look terrible from a Christian perspective. You're going to see them in heaven. And then because the grace that God gave them, they lived it out and they added to it. And then you're going to see Christians that, I mean, they're doing everything. They're like, I mean, they sound great. Not only are they sound great, they do great. There's nothing about them in the least that looks like they are not heartfelt, believing in Christ day in, day out, living Christ day in, day out. They weep for Christ. They sacrifice themselves, and you don't see them in heaven. Because the grace that God gave them, they actually didn't do. He gave them tremendous grace. So it looks like they've done all this great stuff because he gave them tremendous grace. But in point of fact, they were actually using maybe 1/10 of what he gave them.
Right. Well,
what were you going to say?
I don't know. I don't know where this is going.
Either. I don't know how we got here. I think it was Max's fault. It's Max Lentz's fault.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. If you want to call in, 603-782-0920, and then
yeah, brother Bill, why don't you call in? My identical twin is lost.
Yeah, Will, come on, Bill.
Just call on your phone, 603-782-0920. Bill said the Igbo of Africa, they followed a God who, for all intents and purposes, was Jehovah, but they did not know him. When missionaries came, they immediately knew everything and adopted Christianity.
That might have been under threat of a gun or something. I don't know.
Well, you're making a lot of assumptions there.
Missionaries did a lot of weird shit.
Yeah.
Poor Africa.
Yeah, but like I tell you who were really cool missionaries, not coercive or anything. And actually, as the church that I used to go to, the Moravians were really cool missionaries, man.
Yeah? What did they do?
Oh, VTJ Webb.
Hello.
They lived among the people. They were just, I guess they weren't so, patronizing.
Yeah.
They didn't show up as white knights. They just showed up and lived among the people and worked side by side with them, and they weren't hammering people with Christ, although they brought a lot of people Christ. They did. And the missionary model that they created is largely used today, but it's been, I would say, significantly corrupted. But the way that they organized and how they went out, those parts are largely used today. They were like a church. The mission, the Moravians, like may have been at the height of their missionary power. There may have been, I don't know, maybe 50, 60,000 Moravians.
So let's try and bring this full circle now to the beginning of the conversation.
Let's circle it back to Valenciana. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Let's get it back to Valenciana.
Because basically,
otherwise we're turning into a freaking 700 club.
Yeah, but basically, those are prime examples of how if you don't force your ideas on people, if you just live your values and you treat people and you understand that's your preference, and you show them how you do it, and they can see what kind of value that has, more people are going to follow you.
Well, you don't want them to follow you, and
well, not necessarily follow you, but
they didn't want you to follow them. They wanted you to fellowship with them.
Right. Okay.
And in this case, associate, work together with, and hang out with, whatever.
Yes, VT. No Holy Spanish Inquisition.
Well, I don't know. I got the gloves for it.
Jeff Valenciana is the anarcho Inquisition.
Oh, he is. He really is. He is Bishop Anarcho. I made a joke one time, and it was because of people like him. I'm Pope Paulus Anarchist the 17th. Remember that?
We have a call.
We have a call. Okay, bring him in.
Oh, it screwed up the screen.
Oh, you suck.
Oh, accept.
Who are you?
This is William.
Who's who?
Hey, this is
Collier.
William. William Collier, welcome to the show.
Hey.
You're live. You're doing it live.
Live in the
So do you have a question for us, caller? Caller.
Well, I just want to know where Bodhi got his haircut, because I really need that haircut. I need my hair to look like that every day.
I went to Great Clips.
You went to
total sellout. You know, that totally changes my perception of your hair.
Yeah.
He went to Spencer Hair Salon.
What the fuck is that?
Spencer Hair Salon? It's owned by Richard Spencer.
Really?
Yeah.
He has his own hair salon?
He does now.
Get the fuck out of here.
I planted the seed in his. You didn't even get that, man? Dude, come on.
Did it come with a free armband? He's got really nice armbands.
Yeah, he gives out free armbands.
Ask
Bill how he knows.
They're all historical. Ask me how I know. Yeah, because I look for people that have them, and then I do things to them.
By the way, my libertarian, anarcho, all those friends that most of you watching are actually friends of mine. This is my brother Bill, Mr. Stadium on State Face, identical twin Bill. Say hi to the anarcho crowd, Mr. Stadium on State Face Bill.
Hello, anarcho crowd, and the state is beautiful and wonderful.
Yeah.
Did I say that?
New Hampshire is a very beautiful state. New Hampshire is a very beautiful state.
It is. Pennsylvania is a great state.
It has nothing to do with the government, though.
No, I was talking totally about the government. I love the government.
Yeah, but my roads.
Oh, that's right. We're going. My roads. Wow.
I'm a Stadium on State Face, and not even I fall for that argument. So.
Hey, you pay attention. You know, that's what I don't understand. We can have all these discussions with statists or whatever and destroy them on these stupid little points, but they never learn from it. You can make better arguments for government than they make.
Than Maraude's, yes, definitely. The Maraude's go-to argument is not. Actually, I was listening to an episode of Freedom Fiends from last night, and Lou Fiend. I love Lou, by the way. I gotta have Lou on the show.
By the way, go back in the archives. We did about 2 hours. We were chilling with Lou Fiend on the Agora. That was a great show.
That was cool.
By the way, where did you get the name the Agora? Because it's a thing I use a lot. I love it's the marketplace and everything.
Yeah.
It's a video game. It's a video game.
Fuck you! It's not a video game.
It's a video game.
I fucking hate that guy. Don't.
Oh yes, I do. I trigger you with that.
What an asshole that guy was. But
okay,
no,
it's good ammo. But go ahead.
The idea of the Agora is that it is the marketplace of ideas. It's not just a physical marketplace. It's basically the gathering place of human experience. That's
that is more or less what it was. So that's good. So you did have that in mind. Okay.
That's the
motif. Because I've seen Agora that there's an actual, you'll love this, an Agora virtual school, and it's hideous. But it's called Agora, but it's just like there's no marketplace or ideas. Yeah, it's all straitjacket education.
Max Lentz says the best. He's saying from necessary evil tends to be the best argument I've seen from statists. That is, I think necessary evil is a terrible argument myself, Max.
Well,
by the way, Max, my dog's name is Max, so good name.
Good name. I actually believe that governance is a necessary good. Governments, I haven't resolved that in my mind.
Clearly.
All I know is that they do exist. They do exist, and they have existed in some form. And the only thing that I see that could possibly challenge that notion is happening in the northern Syria. Is it Rohingya? What is it?
Rojava. Tayagananda Swaraj is not here. I pay attention to Rojava on iState.tv.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I know. I pay attention to it too, and I think it's really interesting.
I'm rooting for that.
I'm rooting for it because to me that's actually what I view a state is. So maybe my definition of a state isn't very tight.
It's a nation. It's a nation without a state.
Yes, but they're very pragmatic in okay, so if you look at them, they use status language, and I think they use status language for a good reason.
Oh yeah.
Because if they did not use status language, the states around them would be like, "Yo, what is this thing?"
Right. They do have territorial. They do have territorial control, and they do have control over who enters and leaves the territory. Well, more about who enters. They do have control over who enters the territory. They do exercise that control. That's what I think anyway, from what I see.
Yeah, well,
although that may be more owing to the fact that they're at war.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're pretty much at war. But what I like about there was this moment recently where pardon me, I didn't mean to do that. There was this moment recently where the Iraqi Kurds they held a referendum declaring independence from Iraq. Okay, by the way, if you go to iState.tv, I wrote an article about this, and one of the conclusions I made was they did not understand the reality of power around them. The Rahavans did. Right. So even though those are Kurds and they're Kurds, the Rahavans looked over there and like, yo, man, we hitch our wagon to that. We is done. So they distanced themselves immediately. And there's a lot of criticism about that. But I'm like, no, the Rahavans did the right thing. If they had gone
just look at Catalonia and I don't know if you've been reading my stuff, Paul, but I've read a lot about nations without states, and that basically nations aren't states at all.
I read about half
of people.
Yeah,
good. You should read all of it, then you'll be enlightened.
Do you read all my stuff?
Every single bit of it, I have somebody read it.
Yeah, right.
You have somebody read it.
Yeah, somebody read it. Do they actually tell you what they read? No, I just know they read it.
No, they just tell me that they read it.
Yeah, that's good enough for me.
I ask him, is my brother still crazy? And I'm like, yeah, he's still. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Ken, you're right. Absolutely. I don't even think it's loosely based around Murray Bookchin. They're using his phraseology. No, it's like Murray Bookchin is their guy. No, they've totally built it around Murray Bookchin, at least from.
They make it explicit. They make it very explicit, and if you read him, it's fascinating. Of course. Well, so my point is that nations and states obviously are not the same thing. There are 12,000 national peoples on the face of this planet. 12,000 nations. There are about 200 recognized, quote, political states. So the entire myth of the nation state is that it never happened, it was never meant to happen, but that's what they used. So the political state came in and said, we represent the nation and the state together, whereas the nation used to be represented by tribes and peoples, and the, quote, king or emperor wasn't even the sole bearer of arms. That didn't happen until the 17th century, this concept that only the government can bear arms. That actually is a new thing. And it's a failed thing, because look at what's happened. I mean, since we got to a place where the government is the sole bearer of arms, we've had mass genocide on this planet in a scale that's just completely unprecedented. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm going off on a tangent, but
no, it's a good tangent right there. Yeah. It's a good one.
All right, so I just pulled up this article that Max Lentz posted. Rojava administration to impose tax system in northern Syria. A little bit
okay. You want to read it because you know when I hear tax system, I get triggered.
Right. Yeah. So the Rojava self-administration in the Cizre canton in northern Syria has started to implement a tax income law to support public services in the region. Local sources reported the tax income will go to support institutions and public services in Cizre canton, Hasaka province. According to pro-Rojava administration news agency ENHA, the tax income will be used in support of the health and education services and to enhance the local security system and to back women's rights. The move only includes the Hasaka province in northeastern Syria. According to local administration, tax laws exist everywhere in the world to back public services in the country. Every citizen that earns a maximum income of 100,000 Syrian pound, or around $200 per month, will be taxed. Most likely this will include 75% of all citizens in the area.
Man, they're already going off. Come on, man. Where's Ty at, man? We got to get Ty on the show.
All right, but here's the question. Here's the question, Paul. Because we keep talking about can you exist without some kind of state apparatus, which this is becoming, obviously, as soon as you start, because obviously it taxes, nobody says, hey, let's get together and all form a compact and everybody pays monthly for this stuff. No, it's like, you live here, give us your money. No, I know that's not a tax. But no, what they're doing is, if you live here, pay us money. So, but the question is, can human beings be organized non-geocentrically? And if they can't be organized non-geocentrically, can you have a non-geocentric entity, a geocentric entity of any kind, which is based purely on voluntarism?
Well, I think we have that in pockets. The non-geocentric portion is basically the internet and crowdfunding.
Yeah, but you're not relying on that for your essentials for
okay, you're not
I go outside and I'm not driving on the internet's physical road. On digital
Correct.
road, yes, but I mean I'll take it back to the roads. Yes, I'm doing that. So that's not quite it's got to. Can there be an
where you physically live there has to be something there, or does there? Can you have a situation?
I don't think there has to be.
But have we ever seen it not exist?
We haven't in our lifetime.
Well, I mean, in history, other than us, and I don't, sometimes people will throw out and they'll be like, well, but in prehistory days, they didn't have. Well, in prehistory days, they died when they were freaking 18 years old. They lived in caves.
Oh, hold on. That's not true. Hold on. That's not true. Oh man, no. Mitch, you just triggered Mitch. They did not die when they were 18. That is an average age that they're looking at. But once you go past a certain age, they were actually living in their 60s.
Paul, I was just messing when I said 18. I just made that up.
High mortality rate.
They certainly didn't live as long as we do, and they had a very hard life.
If you made it, I don't know if they had a hard life. I don't really know. They worked less hours than we did. I don't think that you could objectively say that they lived a less difficult life.
Maybe they had a more.
Hold on, you're saying that 18 was the average age they died, but the average age we die is 70.
No, what I'm saying is, okay, there's a high mortality rate among the very young, but once you get past that, if you make it past that very young stage, you actually live to be in your 60s on average. So
yeah, okay, so
that's kind of a misleading.
But wait a minute, so that's still definitely no utopia, right?
I'm not describing utopia.
Nobody wants it.
Who said the word utopia?
No, I didn't say you did. I'm just saying I just thought I'd sing you back, but. They had a very hard life compared to how.
How do you know they had a really hard life? I don't get that.
The archaeological record, and based on their technology, you know what they would have to do to go hunting and find that animal.
You know what I have to do to live?
Hours a day.
You know what you have to do to live? We have to work long freaking hours,
and then go.
That they didn't have to work.
See, because there's a spectrum, and on the spectrum, we're at stadium on state phase overload right now. Like the state has become the church, the nation. It has become everything. Whereas what the state should have become is maintain the borders, keep everybody from killing each other. Pretty much that's it. That's all you really need them for. That's all you need that kind of authority for. And they shouldn't even be the sole magisterial authority. So, I mean, I kind of visualize a state should be like a collection of communities that are like remember my charter community thing, Paul?
Right.
So it should be like a collection of charter communities that are all like, however they like to run things. And then you vote with your feet if you don't like to live there. Because, so you can't have an environment where everybody does their own thing, because everybody does their own thing is its own ethic. So if you want to live in a place where, everybody is a Buddhist, then you should be able to do that. So there's a scalability to that once you get beyond a certain scale, it becomes impossible for people to vote with their feet. Therefore, that becomes really not realistic.
Once you start building walls, once you start keeping people in or keeping people out, then that idea goes right out the window.
Yeah, what's the name of the city? What's the name of the city in Turkey, Bill? I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here. That looks like kind of like the Pueblo kind of style. What's the name of that? Was it Harappa or what was it?
Oh, Hayek.
Hayek, yes. There's a documentary that I watched recently that showed that because what they had in Hayek was they had really good evidence because they found bones and stuff, and at the same hand they had bones from the foragers and whatnot in the area that were more like that were there slightly before them. And what they actually noticed was that the people in Hayek, as they started to gather in cities, guess what? Their health got worse. They had more issues than the people who were hunting and gathering. So, yeah, cities did not necessarily bring a better life to people. Civilization did not necessarily bring a better life to people and better is subjective.
Well, yeah.
So by better, you mean the iPhone. Yes, cities brought us the iPhone. But did we necessarily need the iPhone to enjoy our lives? Did we need the iPhone?
There's actually an argument against that we don't.
I think the washing machine and the dryer were great additions to the house for the people that were responsible for doing laundry. Paul, you were in Scotland, don't you remember? Sometimes we had to do laundry the old-fashioned way, and what a pain in the butt that was.
Yeah, but that was because we had to have our clothes cleaned all the time. Hunters and gatherers didn't necessarily have to clean their clothes all the time.
Well, yeah, they probably wouldn't have cared.
Laundry was probably not a big problem for them.
Like, shit, man, I gotta go wash my clothes. I just killed a deer.
Oh, man. Oh, so that's why you smell so bad, Paul, because you're a hunter-gatherer.
No, and I'm making these arguments, but yet I do want to say that for my own preferences, if Mitch McMitchum ever shows up again, miss you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
I'm kind of making the primitivist argument here, but anarcho-primitivist argument, but I actually prefer civilization.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I'm not going to stand up and say objectively civilization made life better. I don't know necessarily that it did. I can't say that it did.
Statistically, it made it worse.
In some ways it made it worse. It depends on what you value.
Well, look at the population boom.
If you value having more leisure time, and you like hanging out in the woods, I think the primitive is the way for you. Hunting gathering is the way for you. It's much less intense. You can totally have much more leisure time with that methodology. But if you don't like,
you can. I don't think you can have a lot of leisure time with that.
You did.
Maybe it's not leisure time, but it's a lot more rewarding work. You're not working for someone else. You're more responsible. You're more responsible for your survival, and for a lot of people, that brings peace and comfort.
Yeah, Slab City, Max, is an interesting study. Yes, I don't know if you guys know Slab City, but Slab City is an interesting study. It's I think it's kind of an anarchist city, if you will. Where is that? It's in California, right? Did I get that right? I think it's in California, and it's this community. It's an anarchist community, but at the same hand, it kind of has to follow some state rules, so it's not completely
California.
It's not.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's actually you'll see a lot of videos of it. It's lawless because the law just doesn't want to go out there. So
it's not
do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, but they don't do whatever the hell they want to do because if they do,
no. I was
jack them up.
There's no charge.
The lawman isn't coming out there.
There's no. The site is both decommissioned and uncontrolled, and there is no charge for parking.
Right, you can just take your stuff, and they have a really interesting. They're kind of They're mutualists out there. And mutualists do believe in property rights, by the way, but they believe in property rights so long as you're actually using the property. So if you build something up and then you like walk away from it and you're not using it, they will literally they'll just tear it apart and somebody else will take it. So if you don't stay in Slab City, your stuff don't stay in Slab City. I don't know how many of them call themselves mutualists, but they definitely act like mutualists. Which I guess I can understand. Yeah, and they have their own rules, regulations. They have governance. They have the one lady that I forget her name, but she's made a library. There's the Slab City Library there. Yeah, there is organization. There is governance in Slab City. It's not just everybody.
Well, you and I have talked, and that's, I've always used the word governance, and I always avoid the word government because I'm really agnostic about how you set that up, whether it's a voluntarist or whatever it is. To me, it's if a king imposes a rule and it's a righteous rule. When I say righteous, I'm talking in a human sense of people are treated justly, they get what they deserve. Theoretically, that's more important to me than if you had a bunch of people consenting and agreeing and doing things that are actually unjust toward other people, which would be wrong, which, just because people voted on it or consented to it and said, let's do this, that doesn't make it right.
Subjectively speaking.
Well, I say there is an objective, but we were just talking about that.
Yeah, like, for instance, Bill, you and I, we have some... we're both Christians, so we have some shared moral standards that we totally agree with, that we can hold each other accountable for. Now, I believe, and I believe you do too, I believe if you don't follow those, I'll call them moral standards, that you are putting yourself in a position where bad things will happen to you. And I don't mean the wrath of God bad things. I mean almost like a physics law kind of thing. Like
causal. Yeah. Causal. In other words, those morals we weren't made for those, they were made for us.
Right.
Isn't that natural law?
I didn't hear you.
Isn't that natural law?
Is it?
I wouldn't classify it. I mean, I know the natural law argument, but there are things like, you take the Christian moral belief about sex outside of marriage. Somebody might want to argue whether that's okay, that's natural law or not, but I certainly believe it's true. You shouldn't do that.
Right. I mean, it's a bad
Although
idea.
I'm not gonna come hunting you down at your house and make sure that you're not having sex with your cat.
And I'm also not going to be standing outside your door and screaming at you and telling you that you're a sinner because you're having sex outside of marriage. I'm just not going to do it. I mean, if you ask me,
you do that to me.
I will.
But you do that to me
say,
all the time, Paul. And I'm married. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Dude, you look like me, and I'm hot. So that's what's going on there. When I make a pass at you, Bill, I'm really making a pass at myself. So
my eyes adore me.
Wow.
My eyes adore me, though I never laid a hand on me.
Wow, maybe you should.
But, oh God!
But the difference between the natural lawyers and me, and I won't speak to Bill, is again, I don't claim an objective, absolute authority to tell you. But I will say that in my belief system, I believe that God is the objective moral authority, that because of my limited human understanding and capabilities, I cannot objectively prove to you. So I can only say I believe it. I can't say it's absolutely true. And I can also say I believe that if you don't fall within the parameters of God's governance, if you will, that it's like the law of physics. You are putting yourself at risk. That the laws that God describes are designed in a way to prevent you from, well, not prevent you, but to help you, if you will, not basically destroy yourself. Hello?
Yeah. Sorry. No, I get it. I get it.
But the natural law will say, nope, this is absolute true. It's right. And if you don't believe it, you're an idiot or whatever. They'll say you want to rape babies. That's always one of their go-tos. Literally, it's either, you endorse Hitler, you'll want to rape babies, or if the natural law folks are anarchists, then you're not an anarchist. And those are the folks that trigger me, man. And again, they don't trigger me being natural lawers. That does not trigger me. I'm totally cool with you being a natural lawer. I could totally get along with you. We could work together. Stuff can happen. But if you want to stand over top of me and constantly berate me because I will not say, yes, I know that absolutely is true. Well, yeah. So Jonathan, did you see? There it is. Okay.
Oh,
you got it.
Is that the right link?
Anarcha.
Did you, gentlemen? I must go. I have a DC call coming.
All right.
Hey, thanks for calling in, Bill. I appreciate the call. Good time. You got a call.
All right, you guys have a good one. Yep.
Good times. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
I can't remember if that's the right link or not.
Are we back? Will we return back to our normal state now? So
we will as soon as his little phone call thing disappears.
Well, just hang up on him. Just make it happen.
Yeah, it's the second one. Is he?
There we go. There we go. Now we should come back. Let's see if people come back.
Okay, so now announcing free shipping for the holidays on Agora.
Hey, this is 70 days of Christmas.
November 1st to December 15th, customers will get free shipping when they order from my shop.
Dude, it's still there. Can you get rid of it? Because it's still messing up. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. Now we're back. We're back.
We're back and in high res.
Back in the saddle again.
So order must be a minimum of $45 US for free shipping to apply.
Dude.
So there you go.
Dude, I don't get it. Why is this thing... It's like it came back, but you're still not right.
I'm still not.
Oh man, the it's wrong. It's you got something going on there. I got something going on there, man.
I don't know, man.
It's me. It's me.
Did you really just hang up on me? Are you serious?
Hello?
Are you serious?
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Are you
you just called and you just called your brother back.
I did?
Oop, I just did. Oops.
You're a man. So if you're watching this on YouTube, folks, most of this actually you didn't get to see us. You just there we go. We're finally the way we should be. Yes, yes, yes.
There we go. There's the Anarcho-Buddhist link. It's available on 47 different products.
Hey, Max, I'm wearing Agorist merch right now.
Oh, yeah, you're wearing the other shirt. I don't know, maybe now's the time to show it off.
Yeah, I got to show it off, man.
Open action.
All right, who wants me to take my shirt off?
Me.
I will totally take my shirt off. I get 15 likes. No, I'm not going to take my shirt off. Just kidding. I prefer not.
Mm-hmm.
It does not, within the framework of my preference. It doesn't align. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
So I think we should try to wrap. What do you think about trying to wrap this up?
I think now's a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah, and let's bring it back to Valencia. Let me speak, and you're running the show, so then you can have the final word. Yeah. This is what I have to say to Mr. Jeff Valenciano. No. Stop going around calling a bunch of people freaking shills. You do it so often that even if and when you actually identify a shill, no one will believe you because everyone is a shill in Valenciana world. My brother Bill, actually, he was just on. He did a lot of online community governance kind of stuff. He actually would get paid to do that, so he knows what he's doing. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that necessarily means he knows what he's doing, but people usually pay people to know what they're doing. Usually, they had a rule, and it was about trolls. Because people would come into these groups, and he ran political groups. So, the political opposition would try to come into the group, and what they would try to do is actually say really horrible, ridiculous, outlandish things and act like they're a member of your group so that they can then show that, see, this is what this group represents.
We just got a comment from Facebook user. Funny how he can't even see this video. Why don't you let him see it? I don't have.
Oh, it's Rachel Riska.
Oh, she has me blocked then. That's funny.
Rachel Riska has arrived to defend Mr. Valenciana. Hey, nobody's afraid of Valenciana seeing this video. If he can't see this video, I don't know why. Because he's not blocked from the page. So whatever. But
he probably has my page blocked.
Probably has your page blocked. I'm sure he'll block me eventually. But nobody believes you at this point because everybody is a troll. Back to my brother. So he had a rule, a community governance rule, which was this: don't go around accusing a bunch of people of being trolls. Just you have standards. This is the standards of the group. If somebody violates the standards of the group, you just remove them from the group. So, I mean, I'm jokingly saying Jeff Valenciana is a shill. I'm not really thinking he is or he isn't. I really don't give a crap if he is, actually. All I know is that for me, Jeff Valenciana has actually violated the standards of my community in my head. And I'm like, disassociation time. Yeah. That's it. I don't even have to worry about whether he's a shill or not. And, you know, that's what you can do as well, Jeff. If you think someone's a shill, if you don't like what they're doing, you can just go away. Yeah. Just turn off that TV set and move on with your life. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna keep having, and that's the bottom line.
I'm gonna keep having fun with it.
Oh, I am too. As long as he keeps the door open, I have I'm enjoying it. If and when I get tired of it, I'll just turn that TV off too. But for now, I'm leaving the TV on, Jeff, because I'm enjoying watching you. You crack me up.
It's fantastic. It's an amazing thing.
It is. If and when I get sick of it, I'll go ahead and turn the TV off. Like and Rachel, if you're watching, I'm speaking directly to you. I enjoyed the Rachel and Rick show for a while. I left them on blocked and I enjoyed it. But then after a while, it was like, it was like watching the same episode of Seinfeld 30 times in a row. And I was like, I'm just going to turn it off. No offense, Rachel. I'm not judging you. You don't do it for me. And I don't like how you spend your energy. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. You bore me. No offense. I'm sure I bore you too, because we don't really have a lot in common. So I just turned the TV off. Yep. That's it. I don't think I turned the TV off on you entirely, Rachel. I just unfollowed you. So you didn't quite get the full tick off because you don't bother me. So I didn't block you because you don't come on my page and pollute my page. So that's cool. So I just don't see your stuff all the time. And that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, it's nothing personal. I just don't want to watch that show. And Valencia, I like watching your show right now. I'm not sure I'm going to for a long time, but I like it. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. And you know what? We got a show out of it. And you know what? Who knows? We might get another show out of it.
I might have got a T-shirt sale out of it.
Yeah, anyway. Might get a T-shirt sale out of it.
It's fun. It's fantastic. Give me a sec. Keeps cutting out for me. It's got to be the government, man.
Got to be the government. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what you mean by give me a sec, but okay.
Yeah, we're wrapping up the show.
We're wrapping up the show. You arrived a little bit late. Although, I don't know how you feel, but if she wants to call in, dude, I would totally.
Oh, you can totally call in.
Want to call in, go ahead and call in.
If you want to call in, 603-782-0920.
And for that matter, Jeff, you could call in if you so like.
Oh, it's Jeff. I can't see. I don't know why it says Facebook user for me.
Who's Jeff? Rachel Riska is Jeff?
I don't know. It's a conspiracy ties here.
Max, are you saying Rachel is Jeff or Jeff is Rachel? Or I think they're different people.
Maybe they're not.
That would freak me out.
Maybe Jeff, Rachel, and Rick are all the same person.
Because I've been kind of horn dogging on Jeff.
Maybe they're also Aaron Bennett.
Whoa! That would be totally entertaining.
They probably all work in the same office.
Really? That would be great. I would now if
Nathan's
somebody
here. Nathan's here.
Nathan, you got out here
at the end of the show.
Rachel said, if that's your advice to ignore these shills, Why can't you take your own advice and ignore these shills? I told you why, because he entertains us.
Yeah, it's fun.
So it's fun. He entertains me.
And
so
I know he's going to get razzed up. I know he's going to keep posting my name. More people. I've gotten more friends from his shit post about me. It's ridiculous because they'll see the disagreement in the comments and they'll see how I'm carrying myself and how I'm not actually saying what he's saying I'm saying, and people are like, oh, I'll friend him.
Yeah, I see usefulness in it, Rachel. See, because I stand on my preferences unabashedly, and I don't hide behind this spooky rights. So I can unabashedly say,
Jeff is all of us.
My criticism of Jeff, by the way, is okay. I just recently made a post where I actually said Jeff is a shill. It's a troll post. I'm not serious about it. This guy's I maybe he's not, but I'm surmising that this guy is serious about all of his posts where he's calling everybody shills. It's not cool. It's a total dicky move. And honestly, that's what I'm talking about. You don't need to go run around calling everybody a bunch of shills.
Yeah. Apparently, they have proof that Aaron Bennett is fed. That they just can't post right now.
I've seen stuff.
I've seen stuff. Too.
I generally don't go down that because again, I'm not so interested in trying to figure out. I don't care who is a fed or who is not a fed. I disassociated for Aaron Bennett without even having to worry about whether he was a fed or not because he violated the standards of the community in my head. You know what? No, forget that. He violated the standards of the community in my head, so I disassociated. I disassociated from him hard.
My problem with Aaron was that I was investing too much time responding to him, and it wasn't getting me anything. So again, that violated the community that I have in my head. So I had to dissociate. Oh, we got a call in.
All right. Let's answer the call.
Who could it be?
You just threw up my visual.
I know. I just switched it back.
All right.
Hello?
Hold on. Yeah. I'm trying to lower this thing here.
Yeah,
it's Ty!
Is that Ty?
It's Ty! What's up? Hey, did you see the Rahava thing earlier?
No, I didn't. I had to drive out for a couple of hours, and then I just seen you guys have the show on right now.
Yeah.
You missed a good show. Yeah, really good show. Man. I can say subjectively. Jonathan asked, "Do you guys audit your friends list?" I don't know what that means.
Audit?
I don't necessarily audit my friends list. I give a pretty wide berth as far as chances are when I accept friend requests. And
if it's a sex bot, if it's like a sex bot or something, and
totally
I have
no, I don't.
If I have mutual friends with someone who is requesting me as a sex bot, I delete the friend and the sex bot.
Yeah, I don't do that. I just don't accept the sex bots. Basically, if you have more than 50 friends in common with me and your page isn't like Flat Earth is the thing or something, not nothing against Flat Earthers.
I kind of give the Flat Earthers a little leeway.
Yeah, I to a degree, but if you have that on your profile, that probably means this is your life, and I can't deal with that.
No,
so
it's a waste of time. If you're not going to buy a shirt from me,
I'm the same way also. If there's a lot of, like, me personally, like, if I see a lot of Nazi trolling, I wouldn't really friend them, but I'll have a couple of those guys on my friends list, you know?
I haven't lobbed off all of my alt-right friends, the ones that don't beat me over the head about it all the time.
What I do,
but the ones that have beat me over the head about it, they're mostly gone.
I'll just unfollow them. Yeah. I'll just unfollow them so my reach is still great, and then when I make those controversial posts, they'll comment and stuff, but I don't have to see their stupid feeds. I just get the feedback, and that's perfect because that boosts the post, that keeps the comments, that gets the engagement.
That's a good philosophy, but every once in a while I rage block.
Oh yeah.
and it's not like it's like okay, like I get it in my head. You know what? I'm sick of this group of people. I'm not saying that I definitely wake up the next day with regrets at times, but I have rage block. Like, that's it. I'm done with the alt-righters. I'm done with Pepe the frickin' Frog. If you have a Pepe thing, I am unfriending and blocking you. And then the next day I'm like, dude, why'd you do that? And then it's awkward. You can't unblock them and then friend request them. You can't do it.
No,
you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Once you go blocked, you can't go.
Once you go blocked, you don't go back. Rarely. You can at times, but whoa, did I just say that? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's code. That's code language right there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's.
So we saw Ty. I'm glad you're on. I wanted to ask. I saw this article. Do you still have that article, Bodhi, about Rahava, about the taxation?
I still have it up right here.
Apparently, one of the what are they called?
Caesarea Canton, Hasaka Province has income tax.
One of their
income tax.
They have decided to pass. They've created a tax, an income tax.
An income tax?
An income tax.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Every citizen that earns a maximum income of 100,000 Syrian pound per month will be taxed.
I wonder how much a Syrian pound is. That's very strange. A tax.
It's $200.
Basically,
$200 a month.
So basically, it's like becoming a state. The thing is, I know the Rojava is having a hard time dealing with like the world because they're trying to figure out how to communicate with other places or countries outside of their area for trade, right? And they're also dealing with the embargo there and stuff like that. But if they're charging taxes, that means there is people that are becoming politicians, brainwashing to collect money for their positions.
And what they're collecting money for is for the healthcare system, for defense, and women's rights.
Oh, no, there's a whole brainwashing thing going on now. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that
was already there before the taxes came. What the hell are they talking about?
So Murray Bookchin would be like, dudes, come on, man. Don't.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, boy.
Murray would be ticked right now.
Mm-hmm. I also think probably Abdullah Öcalan probably think that, like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
I didn't think because he was against the taxes even within his writing, so it's like
maybe it's possible that Rahava is too big an entity to actually pull off anarchy.
That's why it was supposed to be decentralized. It was supposed to be a democratic confederalism. Confederalism means like a unity, but decentralized. They're all still their own personal small communities. But I think what's happening is there's, I think, a shift happening where it's becoming big and non-decentralized, kind of like in the past with the United States. Like all of a sudden there's this union, you know what I'm saying? So it's like instead of a decentralization. So I don't know what's happening there, but it seems like there's some manipulation going on from the top and messing with the bottom also. So it's like that's kind of weird, but it is an experiment. It is an experiment, and people are waiting to see what happens. So is that happen only in one canton? Because I think they have three or four cantons.
Just one, and it only affects that canton. It's not. That's what it said, right?
Yeah.
It's just affecting that canton. It's not all of Rahava, but
Hasaka
I don't know which one of you fine human beings shared that link. Who was that? Was that Max? Was that my dog Max?
Yeah, it's your dog Max.
My dog Max. Max, you're my dog Max. His name is Max, and that's my dog's name. So,
Maximo.
Maximo, yes, Maximo. By the way, I trust Maximo more than I do Jeff Valenciana.
It's really interesting because they had councils, right? But there's not like there's cantons, and they have a council because it's too.
Did we just lose him?
I think we just lost him. I think the government.
We lost Ty. You know, I think that's Jeff Valenciana. Oh no, he's back. He's back. Escaped the Valenciana trap. Good job. Good job. Made it through.
Am I here still?
You're still
you're here. We're still live.
Cool.
We're live.
We are live.
Oh yeah, I was saying earlier. And Rojava, they had these councils already, right? The councils, but not like rulers or nothing. It was always bottom up kind of decision making. What I think was going on is some of these councils in one canton. Well, they had these councils also because that's the way they can relate with the outside world. Right. I mean,
so it's almost like
you still got to deal with trade outside in the world too. You know,
it's almost like it's a necessary Evil.
Well, it's not a necessary evil. It's a necessary compromise.
Right.
Realizing that because I don't think they necessarily would say, "Hey, this is the system we choose." But I was just talking about how the Robin they seem to use a lot of state-on state-based language, and I was saying I think that's probably a very pragmatic reason why they use a lot of these state-on state-based terms, because if they didn't, the outside world would look at them and be like, yo, what the heck is going on here? Because right now with their state-on state-based terms, they're like, okay, I know this guy's doing something weird, but like, okay, so they say they're stateless. They didn't use the word anarchist, so we're not totally triggered, but they are using state-on state-based terms. So okay, they're a little weird, but all right, they're not fundamentally trying to undermine everything about us. All right, we'll let them live. So I think it's a very, but as I was doing it, then Max shares this article with the taxation. I'm like, come on, Rob. It's like, you're singing the praises of your buddies, like, yo, man, Tom, this dude is reliable. He is always there. He is there no matter what. And then you get a phone call, while you're live on air, you get a phone call and you have to answer, and you have to say while you're live on air, oh, Tom just ripped you off. That's kind of what happened to me, Rahava. What's up with that?
Yeah. I had a feeling there was some manipulation because the councils were there to help the different communities and communicate certain things with the outside world for the communities, but it was always bottom-up control. But I think what happened in one of those cartoons, I'm just guessing, I'm going to go read the article too. What happened is I think that those particular councils had created some manipulation for they can have full control and full discussion on their own without the bottom-up kind of control or whatever,
Well, I trust in you to dig and give me the information, because I will probably write an article on iState. Actually, if you ever want, I won't say anybody listening, but like my friends listening, like Bodhi and Ty and a few others out there. But if you ever want to write an article and let me post it on iState.tv and put it in your name, I would happily do that. You give me content, and I'd give you promotion.
And we'll even do a show on it.
And we'll even do a show on it.
Maybe.
Not a promise on that last one, but
no.
But if it's interesting enough.
But if
I would definitely do a show on Rahava, though.
If there is stuff you're interested in, you do want to see us explore or whatever, there's no guarantee we're going to get to it all. But, send us stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good. Rahava is really good, even if it goes in that direction, because what happens is an experiment, and what people do, if people have the right outlook, is what we can do is we can learn from certain mistakes that were done there. Or maybe the other cantons might learn from the mistakes of that one canton and never go that direction also. It is a total human experiment. It's a total experiment of stateless democracy or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, democratic confederalism. I think that's a very important distinction to make.
Yeah.
Because democracy sucks. Democracy is
democracy is mongrel. It's so decentralized that it's decentralized by the street. So each community is about to like 60 to 100 houses the most, you say. And they each run themselves. So it's very small. And then in each of these neighborhoods, they have like open markets in the streets, bazaars, So there's families and individuals that have their own little tiny personal businesses too, as they have what you call co-ops, like the oil business or something like that. So it's a really interesting system.
Power corrupts. Yeah. Absolutely. By the way, I do not believe that power corrupts, but I'll just say it for the sake of argument. Power tends. Well, actually, Lord Acton did not say power corrupts. I stand corrected. Lord Acton said specifically, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it wasn't an anti-power statement. It was a statement that power tends to corrupt, but that absolute power will totally corrupt. If you have absolute power, you're gonna screw the pooch.
You're gonna fuck things up.
Yeah.
Maybe not for yourself though. You may live like Kim Jong-un, by the way, violated natural law all over the place. And I think Kim Jong-un lived a very good...
We believe he did. How do we really trust all the information we know about North Korea?
Dude, come on. He violated natural law. Just stop it. No, he violated natural law. I mean, Donald Trump is violating natural law. The whole government is violating natural law.
Everyone violates natural law.
Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, just let me go there and then pick it apart. So he violated natural law all over the place, and yet he lived a very long, luxurious life. And then he died at an old age. Is it Un or Il? Il is the young one, right?
Kim Jong-il
Un is the one that came before him. Whichever one. The old guy that came before the new crazy guy with the alt-right hair. Like Bodhi has. Alt-right hair. So anyway, he did not suffer a consequence from violating natural law. So, man, natural law totally... it totally failed. It didn't put him in his place. It didn't show up like this big 600-pound gorilla of natural law didn't show up and jack him up. He had a good life.
Right.
So yeah, he screwed things up, but not for himself.
Yeah.
That was my point. Now go ahead, Bodhi. Pick it apart. Go ahead.
I don't remember now.
You don't even care. You took Kratom and you're flying on Kratom, dude.
Flying on Kratom.
Flying on Kratom. So anyway, I hope that when you dig, Ty, I'm really hoping you find some, because it's one article, and who knows, maybe the article was wording taxes when it was like everybody agreed to a fee, and everybody agreed to it.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You don't know. That's why I'm gonna look into it, because how unions protect their businesses is through union fees, right? Like, even if a boss or the owner sells the company, then the union will come in and buy the company instead of using taxes, right? That's what unions are for too, for big industries, because you don't have to tax people. You basically collect fees, but it should be decentralized from business to business, right? Because it's a competitive market, whatever.
If it's something that people, quote unquote, have to pay without fear of physical threat or physical physical force ramification, then it's not a tax. That's what makes it a tax. Yeah. If they don't pay it, are goons going to show up? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Well, people shouldn't really be arrested for it. Like, say you're part of a union, and the union manages a business, right? They do management, business management, and say with them, like, say if you don't pay a fee, there's no threat. All you can do is be under threat of getting fired, and that's
there is a threat. Well, there is a threat. That's a threat. Yeah. But I'm okay with I'm okay with the threat of like, okay, I'm going to disassociate from you. That means you can't work with me, or a threat of you can no longer use this service. But the threat problem I have is I'm going to send somebody with a gun to go ahead and collect you. That's the threat that I don't approve. That's the threat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where Rojava will have or that part of Rojava will have hopped off the rails.
Max
just exactly.
Max just dropped a link to a tweet. One of the stated purposes of the introduction of the taxation system and Jazeera Canton is the elimination of class distinctions in society.
Oh,
that was already gone without taxes, though.
That's what I don't
there was Christians, there was Yazidis, there was the Jews. There's Jews there.
Why would you want to? I don't get why you want to eliminate class distinctions. I'm not necessarily saying why you want to preserve it either, but why do you want to eliminate it?
I don't know. But this is just one tweet. This is Anita Garibaldi.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
And plus, how do you eliminate something that's not really there?
Right.
Unless they're using that language, just kind of how the alt-right will use that language, to eliminate this, suffering, and it doesn't exist. It's just, it can probably somehow exist in a subtle way, but it has nothing to do with the state. It's just community or isolated situations that's doing that.
You don't have to. You don't have to bust the spooks.
Yeah, exactly. and it's Rojava already had this thing going on, and the women even control their own army. And it was, you know, I don't understand the taxes from that one canton. Yeah, but I'm going to read it to see if it's, because what happens is people will interpret things differently, especially here in the United States, and they'll say it's taxes when it's probably not a tax.
Yeah, that's what I'm anxious to find out, and I'm sure that you'll. I trust that if you do find out that it's a tax, that you won't BS me. That you'll say, "Dude, this is."
Oh no! I'll tell the truth, because I'm analyzing this as an experiment, actually. You know, so I have a whole view on this. So, like, if something happens, it's something that we should talk about. You know.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Oh, well, we're definitely watching it. I mean, this is going to be amazing.
You know, I actually, if you go to I don't promote iState enough. I know it. If you go to istate.tv/liberty, that's a feed page that I created for myself, but I want other people to use it too. But I have different RSS feeds on there, and I also have some Google News Watch on there. And right at the top, I have a Google News Watch for Rahava. So I'm always attention to Rahava. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's really important for the anarcho libertarian whatever crowd to pay attention to what's going on there. The good and the bad. Yeah,
the good and the bad, everything, and how these communities work, how the street markets are operating. That way, people can have a taste or see how it's operated and having as the most liberty you can without taxes and all these things. You know, but one canton is going that direction. It's good to look close to it, and if they did go that direction, it's good to see what made them go that direction. That way, we actually learn from that situation. You know, that's why it's good to keep
exactly. Yeah. To see what they did right and to see what they did wrong. And you know, my suspicion with Rahava is, okay, you got the women's rights thing. There's that word, rights. And so I think that they have built into their system some absolutarian traps. And I think absolutarian traps are the perfect staging grounds for authoritarians to thrive within. So I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, their constitution.
Yeah, there could be something about it. I wonder how long it can last or something. But their feminism over there is a little bit different, and it's called genealogy. So they kind of look at it as a scientific way. So basically, when something is set up, it's like always going to stay that way.
That sounds a lot.
Nothing stays that way.
That sounds a lot like the racial.
Yeah, race
bullshit.
Realism.
Race realism. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. That's a little spooky. That's a little spooky for me.
That's a little spooky.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that's a little spooky.
Actually, that's what.
I'm still rooting for him. I'm still paying attention.
That's actually what I think that was Nathan Frazier's thing live. Am I going to spoil anything by talking about it?
I didn't get to see his thing. I want to watch it later. I'm anxious to see it.
Yeah.
I was doing something. I couldn't play the live video at the time.
I want to make sure it was on his public page and not in the group.
Yeah, it was on his public page. It was.
Oh, it was? Okay, because he was talking. Okay, so then.
Well, let's. You know what? I'll make sure. Let's make sure.
Let's make sure. By the way, if you don't know Nathan Frazier, definitely check him out. He is the man.
Good people's man.
Really good people. I have learned a freaking tremendous amount from him for free.
Yes, it's on his page.
It's on his page.
How to convince people to do business with you. I'm going to watch that video as soon as I can.
It was really good. But
sounds kind of like entrepreneurship. Do business with others.
Nathan does. He's a mark.
A top-notch entrepreneur, you could say. He knows his shit.
Cool.
And he knows how to relate the message. And what he was talking about was that if you're so adamant about, he's the example of people who really advocate. They're trying to prove they're not gay. They're trying to prove they're for women's rights. They're trying to prove they're actually most likely the ones to be that way. If you're trying to prove you're not racist, you're probably racist.
Oh yeah, just like everybody says, I'm not a Nazi, but it's like,
not absolutely.
But I'm over here marching with the alt-right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
really?
to a certain degree, though, like if somebody's getting up, if to me it would be okay if you're like voluntarily going around telling people that you're not a Nazi, that's a sign. But if people keep hammering you, calling you a Nazi, and you're just responding to them, I understand that.
Right.
But
but
if you feel like you got to go around saying, "Hey, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a Nazi."
Well, if you walk into a room, you walk into a room full.
Nazi.
Say you walk into a room full of black people, and you're just like, "I'm not racist." Everyone's gonna be like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Well, when you hear somebody say, "I love black people,"
right?
That's like weird.
Well, I'm not saying that everyone who says I love black people, because there could be a context, there could be something going on in their head, but yeah, that would be like immediately. Right. Oh, I got to pay attention. What do you mean by that? I love black people. I don't. By the way, I don't love black people. I don't love white people. I don't love any collectivist.
I don't like people.
Whatever.
I don't like people.
I don't like people at all. I may like individuals, and a few of them I may come to love, but very few.
Very few, like Paul Gordon.
Very.
Yeah.
You love me? I know.
Yeah, I love
it's a little
Paul.
Gay, but that's okay.
I love Ty as well.
Oh, I love Ty. Yeah. I totally love
I love you guys.
I love you guys, man.
We are secure.
It's hard for me to say that.
We are secure in our sexuality.
You know, it's interesting. I'm a type of person, actually, I don't tell people that I love them, except my wife and my daughter, and I tell them I love them like 4 or 5 or more times a day. Totally easy telling them. But outside of that, I'm like, I don't even tell my twin brother I love him. It's just, it feels weird. I can't do it. Even though I do.
Yeah. That's fun. Yeah.
Like, you know, somebody like, I love you, man. And then they're like, I love you, man. And I'm like, stop. Yeah. Great, good. So, hey, you see that football game? Oh, you don't watch football? Oh, crap.
No, I don't watch football.
Oh man, how am I gonna distract this conversation? Quick. Oh, I know how to distract a conversation from Bodhi. Hey, Bodhi. Time exists. Time is real.
Time is real, and I think
the most real thing in your life. You have actually been subject to time a lot lately, right?
No.
Don't you have to be certain places and do certain things? You got to pick up your girlfriend at a certain time. And
oh shit.
Oh, are you supposed to pick her up right now?
No, I have an hour.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking that right now. When you said, God, "Oh shit," I go, "Oh, that."
Oh my God, she would kill me. She would kill me.
You had a panic moment for a second, like, because you do not want to leave her. You do not leave her waiting. That would be bad.
That would be very bad. I might not have a nut sack in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know what my wife would do if I did that to her. If I dared to make her wait. So I don't know. I think it's time to wrap it up.
I think it's time to wrap it up. Let me get some outro music going.
This is a long show we actually did. Ty, you missed all the. You're definitely going to have to go and listen to the archive because there was a lot of good stuff on this show, mostly from me.
Cool. Yeah,
that's normal.
Yeah.
You know.
So all right.
That's normal. You know, I'm not conceited though.
No, not at all.
All right.
By
the way, go to iState.tv.
Go to iState.tv.
I feel like I haven't promoted that enough.
Yeah, go to iState.tv. If you like the shirts, I dropped a link in the comments. Agora.threadless.com. That's all of my designs. And if you want to check out more tunes like this, go to radioagora.net and check out some of the work with Voltrog. There'll be more stuff turning out soon. So thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all those things. Add me on my personal page, Andrew Merritt. That's fine too. Get more updates, all that good stuff. So as always, guys, thank you.
And let me say goodbye to my studio audience here. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you everybody for joining us. And if you like this video, be sure that you like, share, subscribe. And when you subscribe, be sure you hit that freaking bell so you know when we make our next video. We'll see you the next time we make a video.